You are currently standing in a line that you didn't even know existed. It's not a physical line at a grocery store or a DMV, but an invisible architectural boundary that determines exactly how much your life is allowed to cost. Imagine waking up on a Tuesday morning and realizing that because you forgot about a $4 recurring charge for a coffee subscription, you now owe your bank $77. The bank didn't care that the mistake was only $4. They cared about the math, and the math said you went under zero, which triggered a $35 penalty. Then, because you were already negative, a $7 app subscription processed, and they hit you with another $35. Just like that, you are $77 deep in a hole created by a system that sees your struggle not as a crisis, but as a profit center. This is the reality of the level 1 life, where the penalty for being broke is simply becoming more broke. You try to call for help, but the whole music loops until your ears ring, and when a human finally answers, they read from a script that tells you fees are non-reversible. You aren't a customer to them. You are a risk score with shoes. You walk past your favorite lunch spot on Wednesday and keep walking, performing the role of someone who is already full, because hunger at this level isn't a physical sensation as much as it is a silent social performance. You've learned that when you have nothing, the system is designed to keep you right there. But then, something shifts. You work 20 hours of overtime and pull that account back into the black. You hit $200 in savings. Nobody claps. The bank notices, but only to take a $12 maintenance fee because you don't have the $1,500 required to avoid it. You are literally paying the bank to hold the money you barely have. This is the stage where you feel like luggage on a belt, moved along, processed, but never truly seen. You watch the teller smile and ask the person in front of you about their kids, but when you step up, that smile clicks into a professional trained mask. You aren't being insulted, but you are being moved through. You exist on their books, but you don't exist in their attention. This is the hidden trap of the early middle class, the realization that the bank isn't mean to you because you're broke, the bank is just indifferent. And indifference, when it's scaled across millions of people, looks exactly like cruel. Meet Mark. Mark is 32 years old, and he is the poster child for the hidden middle class. On paper, Mark is doing fine. He makes $68,000 a year. To his family, that sounds like a success story. He has a title on his email signature, a 1-bedroom apartment with a door that locks, and a car with a check engine light that has been on so long it feels like a factory feature. But on the morning of his 32nd birthday, Mark opens a spreadsheet he's been avoiding for 6 months. He sees that after rent, his car payment, insurance, student loans, and groceries, he has about $1,000 left. That sounds okay until he looks at his everything else column. Between small dinners out, a few drinks with friends, and random Amazon purchases, he's actually spending $1,300 a month. Mark is going backward by $261 every single month. He has $214 in his savings account. He realizes that he's not middle class. In the way the movies describe it, he is in a loop of work, pay, survive, and repeat. He's old enough to know better, but young enough to feel the sting of the compounding years he wasted in his 20s. The math is real, and tonight, it's worth grieving for. He decides to stop lying. He realizes that at $50,000 a year, you've reached the average that nobody actually dreams about. You have a fridge that's full and bills that are paid, but you are sitting in the most uncomfortable place on the entire wealth scale. You can see $20,000 behind you, and you're grateful you escaped it, but you see $100,000 ahead of you, and you're hungry for it. You're in a waiting room, doing the same work as the person in the next office who makes $80,000, and the gap between you isn't just money, it's a different kind of freedom. Mark decides to start the brutal, unsexy work. He cancels the $94 in subscriptions he forgot he had. He eats lunch from home for 6 weeks. He picks up extra shifts he's overqualified for, feeling a quiet embarrassment as he does it. Then, one morning, he checks his account and sees $1,043. It's not a fortune, but it's something solid in his chest. It's proof that he can change the direction of his life. By 33, Mark has automated his savings. The money leaves his account before he even has time to rationalize keeping it. He's living on the rest, and it's tight, but it works. Then, the inevitable happens. His car makes that low, grinding groan on a freezing February morning. The repair bill is $2,300. 3 years ago, this would have been a catastrophic spiral. He would have put it on a credit card, told himself he'd pay it off in 2 months, and then watched it sit there for a year, gathering interest. But this time, he has the money. He transfers the funds, authorizes the repair, and sits in the cold gas station parking lot feeling something steadier than happiness. He realizes that wealth isn't just about what you can buy. It's about the emergencies you can handle without losing your soul. He's rebuilding his fund within 4 months, and he doesn't miss a single contract. At 34, something happens that no finance book can truly capture. Mark is at a store looking for a new coffee maker. His old one finally died. He's holding 2 boxes, one for $39 and one for $119. In his 20s, he would have grabbed the cheap one without a second thought, but now his brain does a different kind of math. He thinks about the 5-year warranty, the thermal carafe, and the cost per use over 2,000 mornings. He realizes the expensive one is actually the better investment. He puts the cheap one back. In that moment, sitting in his car, he realizes his wiring has changed. He's no longer making decisions in 30-day increments. He's thinking in years. This invisible, unsexy shift in his instinct is worth more than any stock tip he could ever receive. He's no longer a victim of his desires. He's the architect of his future. Then comes the restructuring at work. The Slack channels go silent, and the corporate clouds gather. Mark goes home and runs his numbers. If he loses his job, he has 3 months of survival bought and paid for. He isn't safe, but he isn't one paycheck from collapse. When the layoffs come and he sees his colleagues carrying boxes to their cars, he feels a complicated mix of relief and guilt. But underneath it all is a cold, clear understanding. The only real answer to corporate instability is time, measured in months, that a number and account can buy for you. He decides right then to increase his target to 6 months. He's no longer playing the game of getting by, he's playing the game of never being forced to compromise. By 38, Mark's portfolio crosses the $50,000 mark. He checks it at his desk between meetings, not out of obsession, but habit, like checking a plant he's been watering. The number feels structural. It's a foundation that has finally cured and can now hold real weight. This is why he started at 32. Because foundations take time, and he gave it the time it needed. Then his mother calls. She sounds careful, rehearsed. The roof on her house is leaking, and the repair is $6,000. She doesn't know what to do. Mark doesn't hesitate. He tells her, "I'll take care of it." He hangs up and sits with the phone in his hand, realizing that this is what the last 6 years were for. It wasn't about the spreadsheet or the index funds. It was about the ability to show up for the people he loves without it costing him his own stability. He didn't have to calculate the debt or the shame. He just helped. By the time Mark hits 40, he lies in the dark on his birthday and thinks about that warped laminate countertop and the radiator that banged all night. He checks his phone. He has just over $200,000 in liquid wealth. He isn't a millionaire, and the internet might not call him financially free, but he has 6 times the net worth of the median American his age. He did it because he stayed in the market when his nervous system was screaming at him to run. He did it because he paid cash for a transmission in a cold parking lot. He did it because he automated his behavior before the motivation even arrived. He realizes that the bank, which once charged him $35 for a coffee mistake, now sends him emails with his name spelled correctly. They offer him preferred status and assign him a relationship banker who knows his sister lives in Chicago. The system hasn't changed, but his tier has. He is the same person he was at 32, but the world treats him like a partner instead of a problem. He realizes that wealth isn't a destination you arrive at. It's the distance you've built between yourself and the version of you that was once afraid of a $4 mistake. The future is no longer something that is happening to him. It is something he has finally started to lead.